average-looking female believes that most men aren't hot enough for her, but she decides to message them anyway.
Women literally say they want guys with tall faces. What does that even mean? Having a good sense of humor will get you laid pretty quickly. I don't have the massive jaw/chin or prognathic maxilla. You know, Wendy, maybe it's like your attitude that's not getting you laid. And Wendy is fucking blackpilled as
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about this phenomenon that women think most men are ugly, or specifically here, 80% of men are ugly. So I've been seeing this a lot lately on TikTok, on YouTube. I haven't really watched any videos about it, but I've seen some like thumbnails pop up and some different creators make videos about this topic specifically. So I wanted to offer a woman's perspective on this and see if it's maybe different from what other people are saying. I'm actually going to be going through a study that was done, which is why people are talking about this in the first place. And then also a Reddit thread that I found that kind of discusses this phenomenon that's going on that I think just helps add some different perspectives into this topic. So let's get into it. Okay, so women find 80% of men unattractive, says crazy study. And this was in 2018, so this is nothing new. I just recently found out about this. I didn't know about it. And I just wanted to offer, again, my perspective as a woman, which some of you care about, some of you don't. So this says, women are often thought of as picky, especially where men are concerned. True, we all know that. No matter how selective a woman might be, some have strict physical attributes from their must-haves list, as an OkCupid study found that women find 80% of men unattractive. OkCupid looked at their users and came up with this chart. It says, if you look at the gray line, you can see that women rate a whopping 80% of men as worse looking than medium. Well, you're just medium ugly. That's pretty harsh, ladies, yeah. On the other hand, when it comes to actually making contact with a potential date, women shift their expectations only minimally ahead of the curve, which is better than the males who go after the women that are way out of their league. With basic ratings so off-kilter, the two curves suggest some unique interpretations of the female thought process. The most striking one is that the average-looking female believes that most men aren't hot enough for her, but she decides to message them anyway. Oh, yeah, this is nothing new here. I mean, if you ever watched Kevin Samuels in the past, you would have... And I don't want to sound mean when I say this, okay? I mean this in the most kind, maybe kind is not the word. I mean this in the most respectful way. Very average looking women would be on there requesting men who make over $100,000, who are over 6 feet. They want like a $200,000 engagement ring. The list of demands is just outrageous, right? Is every woman like that? No. I hope that from my channel you've gathered that not every single woman is looking for those things, but a lot of women have crazy unrealistic standards on their list of requirements, right? Nothing new. To show that some women may be operating on a very different scale, OkCupid shared some pictures of men who are fine looking, some might say cute even, but that women have rated them as significantly less attractive than the so-called medium. Oh, first guy? 7, super cute. Cute, 7. 6. Probably 5.5. That's still medium. Okay, maybe none of them are Ryan Gosling, but if they weren't Ryan Gosling, would you still rate them high on the hot meter? From this, one might think that it's the female, not the male, who has unrealistic standards of what average men should look like. It seems like women are way beyond picky. So I put together some thoughts of mine after reading this article of like, why are women so picky on dating apps specifically? My first thought here is just about dating apps in general. I think women have a tendency to be extra picky.
Star, what do you think of this? Do you think 80% are ghouls? I think there is a disconnect here because I think men are much more focused on looks than women are. I think men, like, the first thing that you see is like looks, right? And it's true, I guess, for women too, that the first thing you see is looks, but women are willing to forgive a lot. Women are willing to forgive a lot in looks and a lot in other departments, even in personality, for somebody who's just like decent to them. There are women who are very looks focused, but I think there are a lot of women out there who are willing to forgive a lot of shortcomings just for somebody who treats them nicely. Women are the gatekeepers to sex, men are the gatekeepers of relationships. That is true. I will agree with that. Forgiving some shortcomings, but still only going for guys who are 7 out of 10s isn't forgiving of shortcomings. No, I think a lot of women will forgive people for being like 2 out of 10s if they treat them nicely. I mean, we'll just have to agree to disagree, Wendy. I think a lot of women are willing to forgive a lot of shortcomings.
Picky and extra harsh when they're on a dating app because you're quite literally
Long-term relationships will deteriorate fast as hell if you get wooed by looks. Yeah, pretty true.
like comparing people that you're swiping through. You're swiping from one guy to the next, and all
I think also you have to ask women who are different on the scale, right? Like I'm somebody who grew up being like a 3 on 3 out of 10 on the scale. Like my perception of this is going to be very different from a woman who is like a 9 out of 10 on the scale, right? So you're probably going to get a different answer from somebody who has been like beautiful their entire lives, right? I was not. I was not beautiful my entire life. I'm still not beautiful. But you know, I'm better than I was. So
all you really have to base an opinion on is how attractive he is in his photos, right? Let's be honest. No one really reads bios and the rest of your profile as much as they are concerned with your photos. So if you're not that attractive and you suck at taking photos of yourself, you're screwed. So again, I do think the over pickiness and harshness is elevated even more extreme. Again, when you're on a dating app.
thanks, Billy. That's very kind of you. No, but my perception on this is going to be very different because again, I grew up as somebody who was not seen as conventionally attractive, and I was somebody who's kind of seen as kind of like kind of like the ugly one, right? So I think that well, I rate myself like maybe a 4 or a 5 now. But I think, yeah, I think for women who generally were used to being the ugly one, I think our perspective is like is uh is a little bit skewed on this. So
Scenario where you're swiping through men and you're seeing man after man after man and you're comparing them. You're always comparing like the next guy to the last guy and the last guy to the next guy. I mean, it's a very toxic situation if you think about it. And I don't think in person, real life interactions are nearly as harsh. And I think also in person interactions are much different because you're getting to experience a whole person. You're getting to experience the complexity of a human, the way they interact with you.
I
Their
disagree with that,
mannerisms,
Wendy.
their voice. Just being in person with them, I think, is a much different experience than the way that you experience a person or a potential romantic interest on a dating app, especially when you're just swiping and looking through photos and it's very surface level and shallow, basically just judging a person off of the way that they look and their appearance or how good their photos are.
This is true too. I kind of advise people to like step off of dating apps because dating apps are giving you the ability to filter, and in reality you shouldn't have that ability to filter. You should just join clubs and like eliminate the ability for people to filter you out. Join clubs, meet people in person, or other places other than dating apps, you know?
I mean, I've even had men submit their profiles to me for videos in the past where I went through their profiles and told them what maybe they could do better.
I am
or where they
aware,
were
Char.
struggling,
We're
or where they
working
were
on it.
doing a really good job. And something I saw commonly was a lot of these guys are attractive guys. I mean, 6, 7, 8, but their photos are where they really struggle. I think a lot of guys have a very hard time with photos. So you could even be an attractive guy, and if you're not the best at taking photos, that makes you look less attractive on your dating profile. So a ton of different things go into that. Ultimately, I think that dating apps are just they're just really tough. They're tough for guys who, again, aren't that good at taking photos or who maybe aren't the most conventionally attractive. So I've talked a ton about dating apps in the past on my channel. There comes a point when I think they're not really worth your time, but I think that this is kind of the future of dating, especially as people get more and more hesitant to approach because of, getting roasted on TikTok or, charged with harassment or whatever. So that's my thought about dating apps specifically and why women are maybe more picky in that scenario. But when you're in that situation of a dating app where, again, you're just comparing people and swiping and solely basing off attractiveness, I think that's when people get incredibly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of important. Like these apps are made for you to be able to filter based solely off attractiveness. Dating didn't really used to be like that, you know? So I recommend like going out and meeting people. Looks are gonna fade, you know, everybody gets ugly at some point. So
nitpicky. And I think ultimately this is why women give more harsh or very low ratings, because you come across one guy and you're like, okay, well, he might be a 6, but what's the next guy gonna look like? Like, because what I'm comparing him to might change the way I view him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a very complex, weird thing that we're doing as humans, like comparing people on a dating app. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So then also here, there's a chart of how men rank women on the dating app versus how women rank men. And they're clearly, pretty different. So I wanted to talk about why I think there are a lot of differences between the two. On dating apps specifically, it is no surprise that women get far more options and matches than men do. I mean, dating apps are skewed to be in the favor of women. I think there are also like 40 some or 30 some percent of women on dating apps and 60 something percent of men. So even the amount of men versus women is very skewed. There's a large difference. So women have so many more options than men do because there are way more men on the dating apps. So women are getting way more matches, way more messages, and therefore have more options. I mean, they genuinely do have more options because there are way more men on the apps than women. When you feel like you have more options, in return, it makes you feel like
Advice to meet people in person doesn't apply because women have no incentive to go off of dating apps. Wendy, there's already a disparity in genders on the dating apps. There's only 30% women on dating apps. And I can tell you as a woman on dating apps, like dating apps are incredibly overwhelming. If there's already a shortage of women on these dating apps, what makes you think that they're incentivized to not go out? They're going out. Like 60% male population on a dating app.
you're able to be more picky. And again, as the article mentioned, studies have shown this to be true for even, average looking women or women who aren't maybe that attractive in the grand scheme of things
Yeah,
either.
don't. But from a woman's perspective, you get a whole bunch of messages, and you have to shift through this sea of like people who just want to bang you, people who don't want to get to know you, right? If you're looking for like a relationship, you should try to find people in person. I think that there are a lot of women who even make the dating apps and don't even use them, So
And I don't say that to be hurtful or mean, but generally, like, people who are very average looking tend to still have unrealistic or very high standards for men. And I have found specifically that a lot of the women who have incredibly unrealistic standards for men or hold men to a very high standard hold
yeah, but
themselves
how
to
is a
very
woman supposed to know the difference between a guy who wants a relationship versus a guy who wants a one night stand? You don't. Don't go on dating apps. Like I don't think they're meant for success. So yeah, but how many dudes will lie about that too, right? Like sifting through it, there's so many people to sift through. There's so many people who say they want one thing and then really want just another thing, right? Um, plenty of people are willing to lie just for sex. Well, Wendy, I would say again that the gender disparity doesn't particularly help. You've got women who are sifting through hundreds of matches, right? To try and find somebody who actually wants something. Plenty of dudes will lie about what they want, including average looking guys, and below average looking guys will lie about wanting a relationship and just really want to hook up, right? Just meet people in person, I think, is the better way to do it. People can't filter you out in person. Meet people in friend groups, meet people in other places other than dating apps. Because yeah, dating apps, people can filter you out. People will look at you and they can filter you out. But on in person, people have to get to know you. Women don't really think of it that way, Wendy. So Wendy says it's not like women change their behavior in person. They still will actively search out men who they deem good looking enough to fuck. I don't think so. If you're meeting in person and you're meeting with the purpose of making friends and stuff like that, women are not filtering men out the same way that men filter women out. Women don't filter men out because of how fuckable they are. You generally will be like friendly with most people. So and we're not looking at people by how fuckable they are. That's like a huge difference in psychology, I think. Going out in person, making friends with people, it's different, right? And when you have that expressed, you know, goal, then people won't filter you out.
Low standards. And that's true through things, even shows that we see here on YouTube, like Kevin Samuels or Fresh and Fit or things like that. And you're seeing the way that women are justifying the way that they think and view men, and why they deserve certain things and why they're entitled to certain things. So again, that's nothing new here. We've seen that a lot here on YouTube. But I do think a big reason for this is because women feel as though they have more options, and on dating apps specifically, they do. So because there are more men on dating apps, that obviously increases the options for women and decreases the options for men. So when men are then
I don't know. I mean, I've seen plenty of friends who are like look absolutely banging with like pretty average or below average guys. You know, I've seen I feel like I see way more often like women who are willing to settle for, you know, pretty much anything for somebody who's going to be nice to them.
women, they aren't getting as many matches. They aren't getting as many options. They aren't seeing as many women. So they're not being as harsh or as picky as the women are in return. Another aspect that I didn't see in that article or anyone really talk about is photo editing. Whether it be straight up Photoshop or a filter, almost every single woman I see online is altering their photos. I mean, women are doing this on their Instagram stories. They're using all these crazy filters on Snapchat, on Instagram, on TikTok, and they're using those same filters and photos.
Sorry, if that were true, that would imply any guy could attract any woman if they get to know them. Women never allow that. They friend zone people all the time, especially now. They actively avoid being friends with guys who they don't find attractive to avoid the awkwardness of rejection. Okay, so you can't complain about friend zoning and then complain about women not being friends with men. It's one or the other. Women will be friends with a lot of people that they never intend to fuck. And that's generally like I don't think that's a bad way to get to know a woman. Um, Now it's turning into a problem because people get so mad about being in that zone when you don't even consciously think about putting somebody in a friend zone, right? You just think that this person is your friend. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You have to choose one. Do you want women to be able to be friends with, like, make friends how they normally do, or do you not never want to be in the friend zone but also never have any female friends, right? Like, I think when you meet people in person and those people in person you're only meeting with in a friendly manner, like, obviously is you know, you get to know them as a friend first, and then if things um you know, if things move forward, then it's fine. That's not true, Wendy. Like, being having a good sense of humor will get you laid pretty quickly if you're a dude. You don't have to be like the best looking guy in the world if you have a good sense of humor. Women will move forward with dudes who are not conventionally attractive if they're very funny. Maybe you just don't have a good sense of humor, Wendy. Maybe that's why it's not true for you. Usually people who are super bitter are not very good at having a good sense of humor. Yeah, see, those senses of humor are funny to you, but not to women, right? Sorry to tell you, if your friends or sense of humor is built for you and you guys alone, they don't have a sense of humor that's like going to be appealing towards women. A sense of humor, like, I'm sorry, dude jokes are made for dudes, you know? About being universally funny. The month I stopped trying to date and genuinely hung out without agenda with women, I found a partner. Been together for 5 years. Okay, so you believe a 5-foot guy with weak facial features will be able to land a 7 out of 10 woman with a sense of humor? Not, I mean, a 5-foot guy could probably land like another 5-foot girl with who's like pretty above average. Yeah, I've seen it happen. Person I'm with now, I was friends with before I decided to be with them.
Shop on their dating app profiles. And you don't ever really see men doing this, or at least I haven't. And honestly, when a woman sees a man using a filter, I think that she would think that that's very unattractive. But yet, it's a
I mean, yeah, the filters are cringe. That's generally something that people in their young 20s are doing. I don't know, man. Like, this dating stuff is so, like, fucking weird for me because I feel like people report on these things that I don't follow myself. Like, I have to be friends with somebody for a while before I even consider them in that type of light, right? Um, I'm somebody who waits a while before having sex. I'm somebody who values a sense of humor over anything else. But yeah, for me, I mean, I have to be friends with people before. If you're looking for like, if you're looking for like people who are not like me, then I can't give you advice, right? It's almost like people are different, and there's no blanket advice that works. That's true. Blackpillar's talking about skull shape as modern phrenology. Yeah. Women literally say they want guys with tall faces. What does that even mean? If you're looking for girls who search for that, then yeah, your luck's gonna be kind of shitty. Maybe you should look for like people who are not looking for that. There's a lot of different types of women in the world. Man, the dating stuff gets so many people upset in chat. I shouldn't have ever started watching this. If you're looking for a chick or a dude, get a fucking hobby and go off the net. I think that's pretty good advice, Kinja Khan. I think, look, man, if you can't get past the first date with a lot of people, you're like average looking, you're a dude, you get matches, but you just can't get past the first date. It's probably because either you smell bad, you're creepy, or not even creepy. Like, creepy is not something that you can even figure out. But you smell bad or you're boring. Most of the time, it's not because you're smelling bad. It's probably 9 times out of 10 is because you're boring. If you can't get past the first date. Just don't be boring then. Damn, Wendy is fucking black-pilled as fuck. Wendy, maybe it's like your attitude that's not getting you laid. Like I hate to say it, but like women are not attracted to people who are this like dark in attitude about dating. I don't have the massive jaw slash chin or prognathic maxilla. You think that my partner has a massive jaw? Like, what the Yeah, Wendy, they can get to, you can generally tell, like, I can tell that I am not attracted to somebody like you by the way that you type about this. Like, if this pessimistic about people and this pessimistic about the average woman's wants and motivations, then yeah. Stardust, I'm an incel and I'm much more optimistic than Wendy. Women don't even talk to guys who they don't find attractive. I feel like that's actually the opposite of true. Men complain about the friend zone with women because of the very fact that women will be friends with anybody, even regardless of how attractive they are. That is the reason for the friend zone complaining. Men will complain about women putting them in the friend zone, but the reason that exists is because women will be friends with anybody, whereas men will not be friends with people they don't find attractive in some sort of way. There's a huge disconnect. Women don't complain about the friend zone with guys because guys will make it very clear that they're not like interested in being friends with you. Yeah, but women don't want to just fuck somebody, Wendy. Men will fuck unattractive women. Women will be friends with dudes who are like any type of like at any level of attractive. But women are not looking for somebody to just fuck, right? That's the disconnect. Men will fuck a whole lot of people that women wouldn't. Women will not fuck a whole lot of people, but they're looking for a relationship, like across the board. Women don't complain about the friend zone. Women complain about the fuck zone, where men will fuck you with no intention of ever making you a partner. And I also think that most people who are 4 out of 10 can improve their looks to be at least a 6 out of 10. Unless you've got some horrible physical disability, or you're like, I don't know, you're irreparably damaged by something. Most people can get themselves to like 6 out of 10. So if you're not getting yourself to 6 out of 10 on the scale, you're just being lazy. What is facial height? What the fuck is facial height, my dude? You guys are right. Women love ugly guys. I do. I've always talked about how I would suck Zach Galifianakis's like left tit. This is back when he was like morbidly obese, because I thought he was funny. I would literally suck his left tit. Star is lying. She showed us her skull calipers. Yeah.